All right, boys and girls, we are going to continue on discussing our nutrition information that we're talking about throughout the month of March. So last week we kind of talked about energy in, energy out, and how our body uses that energy in different ways. And then how when we eat food, that's energy coming in, and as we move and we're active, that's our energy coming out. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about the My Plate. I showed you all a picture of that last week, and I will put it up on the slide again for you to see. And on the My Plate, there are 5 different categories of foods. And those 5 food groups are dairy, fruits, grains, proteins, and vegetables. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about those today. As we continue on talking about nutrition. So the first thing that I want to tell you about is the My Plate. And we kind of have seen that picture, that graphic a little bit that shows those 5 different food groups. What it does not really tell you, though, is proportion size or portion sizes, because it's different for each of those 5 different categories. But what we use the My Plate for is to show that when we are having a meal, we want our meal to be balanced. We want to have a little bit of each of those 5 different food groups represented on our plates. And so we want to make sure that as part of being nutritious and having a healthy, nutritious lifestyle, that we are consuming foods from each of those 5 food groups. Now, as we talk through today, what I want you to remember is that each of these food groups is measured in some way, okay? We call them food measurements. And so the food that a person eats is measured in one of 2 ways, okay? It's either measured in cups or it's measured in ounces, okay? So our cups would be for our dairy, our fruits, and our vegetables. And then ounces, our grains and our proteins are measured in ounces, okay? So a cup is a measure of volume, volume being how much space something takes up, and an ounce is a measurement of weight. So it's a way to weigh something. All right. Now, healthy eating, boys and girls, is eating the correct daily amount of food throughout the day using a variety of food from those 5 major food groups. And let's go ahead and start talking a little bit about those 5 food groups. So the first one that we're going to talk about is dairy. And dairy, the dairy group delivers calcium to your body. Calcium is a really important mineral for your body. It's what helps keep our bones strong. So dairy is made of, or is fluid milk, which means it's a liquid, okay? Or it's a food that is made from milk. That's what makes it a dairy product. Like I said, that dairy products help strengthen our bones. So dairy foods, they give us vitamins and minerals. Milk, yogurt, and cheese are all examples of foods that would fall into the dairy food group. So next we have fruit. The fruit group is loaded with lots of healthy carbohydrates, vitamins, and minerals. And I know I'm going to use the term carbohydrates, vitamins, and minerals a lot as I'm explaining these food groups. And we're going to talk about those next week so that we know a little bit more information about those. But fruits are fresh. They can be canned, they can be frozen, they can actually be dried, or they can be in 100% fruit juice. Okay, so 100% fruit juices. And when we do that, we want to try and avoid the added sugars. So if you go to the store and you're looking for fruit juice, it will say 100% fruit juice on there. if it's got any artificial flavorings or added sugar, it would also tell you that. So when you're drinking juice, it needs to be 100% fruit juice in order for it to be considered part of your fruit daily recommended amounts. Okay, so some foods in the fruit group, very common, are apples, oranges, dried fruits. A lot of people like dried, like mango, dried pomegranate, dried banana. And then, of course, your fruit juices like orange juice, apple juice, pomegranate juice, cranberry juice. Those are a lot of people's favorites. Then we have the grains group. The grains group provide carbohydrates. Grains are foods that are made from wheat, rice, oats, cornmeal, barley, and cereal grain. And grains can be considered things like crackers, rice, bread, and cereal. And those are all some examples that would fall into the grain group. Foods from the protein foods group, those are what we call, they provide the building blocks for bones, muscles, and other parts of your body. Okay, so protein foods are things like meat, fish, beans, peas, legumes, which are kind of like beans. Those are all high in protein. Then you have things like nuts, tofu, chicken, eggs, beef. Those are all examples of foods that that are pretty loaded with protein. A lot of people even find higher amounts of protein in cheese. So cheese can actually be considered dairy and a protein depending on the type of cheese that you are consuming. All right, and then we move on to our fifth and final food group, which is vegetables, everybody's favorite, I'm sure. And the vegetable food group is a great source of carbohydrates, and more importantly, fiber, vitamins, and other minerals as well. Okay, you can have vegetables raw, you can have them cooked, you can find them fresh, frozen, you can actually find them in juice. There are things that are 100% vegetable juice. Some common examples of vegetables might be celery, carrots, broccoli, peppers, zucchini, squash. Those are all examples that would fit into that food group. So most of the food that you eat fits into one of those 5 food groups. However, there are some foods like olive oil that a lot of people use to cook with, or vegetable oil that a lot of people use to cook with, and candy, so things like that. Those do not fit into any of the 5 major food groups. And so there are 2 categories for these items, and those 2 categories are referred to as oils and empty calories. So an oil is not found on the My Plate because it's not a food group, but it is important for your body. So oils are fats from plants and fish, and they're in a liquid form when they are at room temperature. So oils give your body essential fatty acids, and we need, we don't need a lot. So when we're consuming things with oils, we want to kind of try and reduce those amounts, okay? And then each day you need to consume a certain number of calories that keep your body healthy and working. We talked about that last week with our energy balance, energy in, energy out. And eating the recommended daily amounts for each food group is going to supply most of the calories your body needs. And depending on the foods that you choose to eat from each food group, you may need a little bit of extra food. Okay, and these extra calories can come from healthy foods. So maybe you bump up some of those foods from the other food groups, like your fruits or vegetables. And they can be gotten from or eaten in the form of what we call empty calories. Empty calories are fats, things that are high in fat, and things that we refer to as sweets. So your candies and your desserts and your cakes and all that kind of stuff. And those contain calories, but very few or little to no nutrients. So they're not providing your body with those vitamins and minerals. They're not providing you with much fiber or healthy carbohydrates. They're unhealthy carbohydrates. So again, those are called empty calories. They contain lots of solid fat and added sugar. All right. So like I mentioned, we want to eat in recommended daily amounts. So depending on whether you're a boy or a girl or how old you are, the recommended daily amount for each food group is slightly different. Okay, so in some of the categories, girls need to eat more from a certain food group than boys do. 5 to 10-year-old might need to eat something a little bit less than a 12 to 13-year-old would, just as examples. So I'm going to provide on the next slide a picture of the recommended daily amounts. And what you can do is just find the proper recommended daily amount for you based on whether you're a boy or a girl and what age you are. Because I've got lots of students and lots of different ages and lots of boys and lots of girls, and it would take me a lot of time to just go through all of that. So I'm just going to share that chart with you. So take a look at that chart. Remember, these are recommended daily amounts. So you're not consuming this amount all at once in one meal, but throughout the entire day. And we get calories out of those foods, and that is how we manage our energy in, energy out. So go ahead and take a look at that, and I will have another activity for you to do after you've taken the chance to see that recommended daily amount chart. And then next week when we come back, we are going to be talking a little bit about those nutrients, those vitamins, those minerals, and then we're going to look into how to read a food label and how that can help you with these recommended daily amounts and all of that kind of stuff. So I know that was a lot of information. I've been talking for a long time. Take a look at that recommended daily amount chart and get up and have a good time with this next activity, boys and girls. I will see you later and have a great time.